Hey guys, hope you are having an awesome week. I am really excited about this training. And to be honest, I can't believe that I haven't done a training on this topic before. So you can expect to see a lot more content information about these topics just in the post that I made, kind of asking you guys about your questions and your concerns. It's obvious that this is an area of need. So I am happy to be providing information for you to help you get out of this cycle of losing weight only to gain it back. I'm going to give a couple minutes to let people pop on. I know when I'm in other Facebook groups, sometimes I don't get the notification until like a couple minutes later, and then I feel like I'm jumping in at the middle. So I'm going to give a couple minutes for other people to get notifications and to hop on. When you do jump on, give me a thumbs up, let me know that you're here. And if you're here from the very beginning, I am going to be repeating myself a little bit in the beginning just as people come on to kind of lay the groundwork. So if you hear me say the same thing a couple times in the beginning, I'm not stuck. I will be getting into the meat of it, but people are kind of steadily coming on. So I just want to give a couple minutes so that people get in from the very beginning. So I'm really excited about today, and to kind of give you a rundown, I'm first going to cover the 4 main reasons that traditional diets do not work and why you have been failing at them. And I want to help you realize that it's not your fault that these things aren't working. It's because they are set up to fail from the get-go. So first we're going to talk about why dieting does not work, why you haven't been successful so far. We are then going to talk about kind of what research shows us people need to be successful, and this is, kind of when a whatever kind of body looks at people who have successfully lost weight and kept it off for a significant amount of time, like what have they done? So looking at the actual science behind it. We're gonna then look at what all of this means for you, and then go over very specifically what you need in order to lose weight and what you need in order to maintain a healthy weight, since obviously the losing itself isn't really the issue. Like probably everybody in here has lost weight, right? Another thing, I want this to be interactive. So if you're here right now, if you're here live, give me a thumbs up, let me know that you're here. And if you are catching the replay, comment below, let me know you're watching the replay, but also treat this as though it's live. So I don't care when you're watching it. Right now it's, 5 p.m. on Wednesday, but I don't care when you're actually watching it. I want you to treat it like it's live and like I'm talking directly to you. So if I ask a question, it's an actual question. It's not rhetorical. It's not like, she's just kind of talking at herself. I want you to interact with me like, hey Arlene, like it's live. Okay, so we've got a good chunk of people on right now. Just to kind of recap, we are going to go over the 4 reasons that you keep failing at diets and why it's not your fault. We're going to look at what kind of the research shows us you do need in order to be successful. We're going to talk about what this means for you, what you do need to do in order to lose weight, and most importantly, what you need to do in order to keep it off. And then at the very end, I'll be getting into some questions that you guys had on my thread and a pretty cool offer for you. So thank you guys who are here live. Like I said, if you're here live, give me a thumbs up. If you catch the replay, comment below, but treat it like you're live. So if I ask a question and I say, give me a heart, give me a thumbs up, give me a sad face, whatever, I want you to play along like it's live, okay? So tell me who here feel like they have gained weight that you have a hard time losing. I'm just going to kind of run down a list of things. If they resonate with you, give me some sort of reaction, a heart, an emoji, whatever. Let me know that it is resonating with you. Do you look in the mirror and not like the person that you see? Do you feel like you have unhealthy behaviors that relate to food? Maybe you eat to excess, maybe you binge eat, maybe you eat when you're not hungry, maybe you have a hard time stopping once you get started. Whatever, kind of behaviors, or thoughts related to food, if that resonates with you, let me know. Do you feel like you have tried every wrap, pill, diet, whatever, all the fad diets? Have you tried all the things in order to lose weight? And I know this is going to resonate with a lot of you. Have you lost weight, the same weight, over and over and over again, and sometimes adding more on each time? Now, I can't see your reactions right now. I know that you're giving them to me. Oh, I can do filters. But I'm not sure. I can't really see if you guys are doing them. So I hope that you are. Anyway, technology, right? Okay, so hopefully, yes, okay, yes, yes, and yes. I'm getting some yeses. Excellent. I just had to scroll down. All right. So, well, first of all, I'm sorry that those are resonating with you, but you are in good company. You are not alone. And I want to share some statistics with you that are really pretty shocking and really come down to the essence of why I do what I do and what my mission is, which I'll share with you guys in a second. So did you know that 75% of women have unhealthy behaviors related to, or unhealthy thoughts, feelings, or behaviors related to either food or their bodies? 75%. And even more shocking, I think, 95% of diets fail, and most women will regain any lost weight within 1 to 5 years. Now, let me know if you have had that experience, that you have lost a good amount of weight or any amount of weight really, and within 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, that weight is back. I know that this is very relatable because I am in a lot of other weight loss groups, and I see this all the time, specifically in Weight Watchers groups. And I'm kind of going to pick on Weight Watchers a little bit. So if you are like a diehard Weight Watchers person, sorry, not sorry. Try to keep an open mind. But honestly, I hear a lot of women with regards to Weight Watchers saying, it worked for me before. I lost 100 pounds on Weight Watchers before. I just need to get back to it. And I don't know if any of you guys watch my Facebook or my Instagram stories, but I talked about this the other day. If your goal was to lose a bunch of weight and then regain it, then yes, it worked great for you. Mission accomplished. Like, you lost it, you gained it back, awesome job. But like, that's not the point, right? You're not trying to gain and lose the same weight. And I have a funny story. I used to work in corporate wellness, and I worked at the Sony headquarters, and we had a gym on site, and we would do all sorts of like activities and stuff to try to keep the workforce healthy. So every year, this is when like the Biggest Loser was in their like heyday. So every year we would do a Biggest Loser, I guess it was probably January type program. It was like a 4-week or a 6-week type thing, and they would all weigh in the beginning and the end. And no joke, we had the same guy won, the contest 3 years in a row. And I remember him coming in to collect his prizes and saying, "Oh yeah, I'm really good at losing weight." And he was a very overweight man. And, that was kind of like a point of pride for him. It's like, "Oh, I'm great at losing weight." And I remember thinking, like, I mean, that's I guess that's cool, but like, do you want to just lose it and then not gain it back? Like, it seems like, the prizes weren't that good, right? So I share that to, kind of showcase just how common it is. 95% of people will regain the weight that they've lost. So those of you who are telling me, and there's a lot of comments here saying that this is relatable, yes, if that's you, you are not alone, and the diets that you've been following have been setting you up to fail. So before I get into the top reasons that diets fail, I want to tell you a little bit about me. I know that a lot of you are kind of OGs that have been in this group for a long time, but we've had a lot of growth recently, which just blows my mind, and I'm so happy for it because I've worked really hard to kind of cultivate this group. But there's a lot of you who I know don't really know much about me. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Like, don't go, leaving the training. But I do want to give you a little bit of background on me and why I'm so passionate about this. So my name is Esther Avant. I am a personal trainer and nutrition coach, and I specialize in helping women lose weight and keeping it off. I have a degree in exercise science from Boston University, and while I was in school there, I got certified as a personal trainer and have been working in the industry ever since. So I'm coming up on 14 years, which is totally crazy to me. And throughout the course of my career, I have added skills and qualifications and credentials just based on what my clients needed. So I started off just straight personal training in a commercial gym in Boston, and was just frustrated by my clients' frustrations, that they would come in, they would work their butts off for a couple hours a week, and they were just spinning their wheels. That was how I got into nutrition. I realized what a missing piece that was. Over time, I have gotten into the behavior side of things, psychology, behavior modification, etc. And in like 3 years ago now, it's like 2016-ish, I took my business online. I married my husband, who's in the Navy, and we met in San Diego, promptly moved to Virginia Beach. A lot of you are here in the community when we lived in Hawaii, and now we're in DC for a little bit, and they'll be going to Germany. So I work completely online so that I can continue to have a career and have a business and help women like you no matter where we live. I I guess that's me in a nutshell. I have my 13-month-old son who you guys see. He makes cameo appearances in a lot of my videos. And what drives me is talking to women like you and hearing about your struggles and knowing with every piece of me that there is a better way. And I want to impact as many women as I possibly can and show you that better way and show you that you can look and feel amazing while also loving your life. You do not need to be miserable to lose weight. And in fact, if you are miserable, that weight is going to come back. So, getting into the meat and potatoes of this training. So if you've got a pen and paper handy, I would jot down some notes. It's going to help you retain this stuff. The first reason, we're going to go over four reasons that diets fail. The number one reason, they're not in like order of priority. They're just one. The first reason is that your diet is too drastic. So who here has gone on a diet that they're like, you know what, I am sick of this. I need to change everything and I need to do it immediately. And you go through the kitchen and you're throwing stuff out and you go to Whole Foods and you fill the cart with all the things that, you've got all the greens, the kale and all the, the quinoa and all the, superfoods. And you're like, this is all I'm eating. This is just how I eat now, right? You are so fed up that you feel like the only course of action is a complete and an immediate overhaul. And you go from whatever had been your norm to expecting to be fully compliant on a diet or a plan that is completely unfamiliar. So another example of this is like your cubicle mate jumps on the keto bandwagon and drops a bunch of weight really fast, which I will touch on as well. But you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that too. I'm getting all of the carbs out of the house. I am getting all of the, the stuff that I'm no longer allowed to eat out of the house. And starting tomorrow, I'm all in on this, right? It is a complete mindfuck, excuse my language if that bothers you, and it sets you up for failure. It is only a matter of time before you revert back to whatever was your norm. It was too drastic. All right, so what should you do instead? Research shows that weight loss that happens as a result of gradual habit change is what's going to stick around long term. And I'm going to come back to this stuff as well. The second reason that traditional diets do not work is because they are too restrictive. So who here, raise a hands, comment below, whatever, has tried a diet that requires you to eliminate entire food groups or only eat certain things? Maybe you've done the grapefruit diet, or in keto, there's like an egg diet, or keto itself is an example of it, or paleo, or any of those things. Who here has done a diet that, yep, I'm getting a lot of, too strict and I failed, been there, done that so many times? Yes, you guys are not alone. And I am not bringing up like these things to make you feel bad. I want you to know that you are in very good company and that it is not your fault. You have been conditioned. You get so much stuff spewed, I don't know if that's a word, it feels like it should be, at you by the weight loss industry that you feel like it needs to be hard. You feel like you need to be doing these drastic and these restrictive things, otherwise it's not going to work, right? It seems too good to be true that you could possibly eat the things that you like and lose weight. Here's the thing. Elimination diets often get results, right? So those of you who have done diets like that, did they help you lose weight? Probably, right? Yeah, give me a show of hands or something. They probably have. Of course they do. Because anytime you minimize the amount of food that you're allowed to take in, you're likely to lose some weight. And this goes for like intermittent fasting as well, which is like super hot right now, which makes me laugh because I feel like it's just, and I know fasting has been around for forever. I'm not really picking on it specifically, but it's just a different term for not eating, right? Like break fast is the meal you eat after you haven't eaten all night. You're breaking your fast. So fasting is not a new thing. It's just a way of saying that you're not eating. So it always makes me laugh when I hear people saying, oh, I fast one day a week. It's like, replace that with I don't eat one day a week. And then you'll see how ridiculous it sounds. Like, of course you're losing weight if you're only eating 6 out of 7 days of the week, right? So when it's too restrictive, think about happening. You're like your inner rebel. Think about being a teenager when your parents were like, you need to be in by 10 o'clock or you can't take the car. Whenever you're told you can't do something, you want it so much more, right? So as soon as something is off limits, that, that bad boy that you wanted to date when you were in high school and he was in college, like, he was so appealing because he was off limits, right? So the same thing goes for these diets. The second you tell yourself, I can't have whatever it is, it becomes so much more enticing. And you have probably experienced this if you have done some short-term type thing. If you've done a 21-day, detox or fix or a 6-week whatever, you have probably found that even foods that you maybe aren't even that into, as soon as you found out they were on like the not okay list, like now all of a sudden you're like, I will do whatever I need to get my hands on this thing that, like, under normal circumstances I couldn't care less about, right? Once it's off limits, you want it a lot more, and you are a lot more likely to have that experience where you kind of white knuckle your way through and you rely on willpower until you run out, and then you go off the deep end and you restrict. Maybe it's for all day and then you binge at night, or you restrict all week and you binge on the weekend, or you restrict for 3 weeks, you make it through the challenge, and then you spend the next 6 weeks doubling up on all the things you couldn't have, right? All of that stuff is short-lived. Yes, I can't follow anything strict. I will most likely I will just pick the foods I like. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so in addition to these diets being too restrictive and you wanting the off-limits foods even more, it also puts you at risk of developing an unhealthy relationship with food. And I work with a lot of women who have this experience, who feel like there are kind of safe foods, or foods there are good foods and bad foods, or foods that they shouldn't have and foods that they can have. And even things like fruit has been, kind of so demonized that we question, like, is it okay if I have fruit? Like, of course it's okay you have fruit. Okay, so you got a little passionate there. So say you do make it through your 10-day or your 30-day, whatever restrictive diet. What happens when you go back to normal eating? Because inevitably you're going to. Unless these are foods that you truly won't miss, for forever, you are eventually going to go back to eating them. And if the only reason you lost weight in the first place was because you stopped eating those foods, then when you start eating those foods again, you are going to gain the weight back. So the diet, a restrictive diet, has not done anything magical for you. It simply required you to eat less. And if it's requiring you to eat less of foods that you really enjoy and want to be eating, then the results are going to be short-lived. So what does research say? That people who successfully lose weight and keep it off eat a balanced and a varied diet that allows for any food to be eaten with moderation. Okay, so nothing is off limits. There's no good and bad. There is a spectrum of nutrient density, and there are foods that are essentially devoid of nutrients that sometimes just taste good. Like, I will be the first person to admit something that there have been a couple times that I've polled you guys and I've asked you guys to fill out questionnaires for me to get to know you better. And the absolute best compliment some of you guys have given me is that I seem like a real person. And I truly appreciate that, because I feel like there's so much fakeness on social media that you see someone who does what I do, that, exercises and has their nutrition in order and, is fit, and you think it comes easily, and you think that, we're just like robots that I only eat quinoa. That's funny. And I'm not. And I appreciate when you guys think that I'm a real person, and I am. So I will be the first person to tell you that there are some foods that I like that really aren't doing anything good for me, but I enjoy them, and they bring me, enjoyment, quality of life. They improve my quality of life. And there are foods like that for all of us. So yes, you want most of your foods to be nutrient dense and aligned with your goals, but you also want to have room for the things that you just want. You just don't want to live a life that doesn't allow you to eat those things, and that's okay. Reason number 3 that diets do not work is that they are unsustainable. And this kind of ties into what I've been talking about and what I'll talk about with number 4 as well. But let me know how many of you have missed out on social events because you either have issues with food, or you won't have control over what's offered and you don't want to risk going off your diet. How many of you have experienced restricting all day and eating as little as possible all day and then binging at night? How many of you have essentially counted down the days until whatever short-term thing you're doing is ending and you can eat whatever you want again? Who can relate to those things? I know absolutely I can. Before I figured out the way, I struggled with all that stuff. I didn't want to go out because I couldn't bring my Tupperware meals. I remember working at my first gym, surrounded by other trainers, thinking I needed to eat 6 mini meals throughout the day to stoke my metabolism, which is BS, by the way. But I would literally count down the seconds until it was time for my next 150 calorie snack pack. I have done the restrictive diet, the master cleanse, 3 days of only, cayenne lemon water with maple syrup, and have counted down when can I have foods that I want again, right? I'm getting some thumbs up. I can relate. Yes, if that is relatable, it's because those diets were unsustainable. Any diet that is too drastic or restrictive, like the first 2 points, is unsustainable. And any weight that you lose on an unsustainable diet is going to come back, because you cannot white knuckle your way through life. You can white knuckle your way through something temporarily. You can say, I can do anything for a day. I can do anything for 3 days. I can do anything for 3 weeks. I can do anything for a month. But eventually you will get tired of having to literally white knuckle your way through, right? An unsustainable diet means unsustainable results. So what should you do? The most reliable way to lose weight and keep it off is to eat in such a way that you do not feel deprived and you can see yourself eating long term. And I know for most of us, I know there are some of you on here who have serious food restrictions, either allergies or celiacs or Crohn's or something like that, where you cannot eat certain foods. Those things aside, if there are foods that you enjoy that do not cause you physical harm, then there should be a place for them in your diet if you want to have those results last. All right, number 4 reason that diets fail is because they are not teaching you how to fish. And this is one of the absolute biggest ones. And if I could pinpoint the main reason that a lot of you have not been successful in past diets, is because you are not learning what you need to do to maintain for a lifetime. So if you are looking for a meal plan, if you have bought a meal plan, let me know. If you have bought a meal plan, or if you have Googled, meal plan, if you have asked in other groups, what's a meal plan that I can be on? Just tell me what to eat. If you are relying on someone else to tell you what you can and cannot eat, or when you can and cannot eat, or when in the day you can and cannot eat, what happens when that person is no longer there telling you what to do anymore, or when that meal plan is no longer, when you get tired of following that meal plan and you're like, good God, I just want something else to eat. What's going to happen when you aren't being told specifically what to do anymore, right? If you are in this situation, you have been, for lack of a less cliche example, you have been given a fish. You have not been taught how to fish. So if you want to maintain the results that you get while following a specific plan, you need to have the tools to survive without it. Let that sink in. If you're taking notes, if you're a note taker, that's an important point. If you want to maintain the results you get while following a specific plan, you need to have the tools to survive without it. So what should you do? Sustained weight loss comes as a result of learning how to make better choices day in and day out until they become second nature. And I know that I have some current clients and some graduates on here, and they will tell you. And if you're curious, I'm happy to put you in contact with some ladies who will talk to you about it. But they will tell you that the main thing, or one of the main things that they are learning, is how to show up for themselves every single day, regardless of what's going on with the rest of their lives, regardless of how they're feeling. They are making better choices every single day. They are learning how to be consistent until those behaviors become second nature. You wake up, you brush your teeth. That's not something you think about. You don't miss a day of brushing your teeth and then think well, I guess I don't brush my teeth anymore. I blew it, right? You just start brushing your teeth again. It's not a big deal, right? An example that I've used with some clients before that's really resonated well is the flat tire analogy. So a lot of us struggle with this all or nothing mentality. And let me know if this is you, where you are either all in and you are, yes, I am being perfect, I am 100%, I am doing every single thing to a T, or you are all out and you were like, what plan, what wagon, can't even see it, I don't even know where I am, like give me all the things, right? You are hot or cold, you're in or out, you are all or nothing. That is like driving down the freeway on the way to work, running over a nail, pulling over, got a flat tire, front passenger side, flat tire, stab the other three, right? That doesn't make sense. That's completely illogical. Like, you don't want to go buy, if you could buy one tire, you don't want to go buy 4 tires, right? So you just basically accept, all right, bummer, I got this one tire, let me fix it and move on, right? You don't make the situation worse by popping the rest of your tires, right? So that is basically what you're doing when you are living in the all or nothing mentality. So what does this mean for you? Essentially, in order to lose weight and do so sustainably and long term, you need to be doing the opposite of the things that I just talked about. You need a gradual approach that doesn't restrict when you can eat, what you can eat, why you can eat it, and this is really important, while simultaneously developing the knowledge bank and the habit, skills, tools that you need to maintain long term. And this is where a lot of programs fall short, is they will dictate, do this, eliminate these things, restrict this, blah, 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 and you'll lose weight. And you do, sure. Like you can follow directions, right? And then there is no contingency plan for like, well, now what? Now I lost the weight. Like, what do I do? Like, how do I keep it off, right? That's what you guys have all been struggling with, right? Is Michelle all out right now. Yes, I know you are not alone. And I'm going to talk about that because we are going into November and this is like the slippery slope that everybody's like, well, it's the holidays. Like, phew, I'm just going to crash and burn. And then January, this year is going to be different, right? I get it. So this is where a lot of diets fall short. And this is, I'm going to bring Weight Watchers up again because it's just such an easy example. So with Weight Watchers, you have to learn this point system, right? And a lot of people have a lot of success with it. There are tons of success stories of people who have lost a significant amount of weight on Weight Watchers. And I don't know, depending on how old you guys are, Oprah, Kirstie Alley, they've had a lot of spokespeople who over the years have lost a good amount of weight on Weight Watchers and then ended up gaining it back, right? Oprah is such a good example because she has like just publicly done what like so many women have done. So you learn this arbitrary point system and then you lose a bunch of weight. And then you get down to this weight that you're like, okay, great, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I want to stop counting points. You stop counting the points, you don't really know like what the points translated to or like what they even meant. All you knew was like, I have to keep counting points or I'm going to gain it back. So you try to ease up, the weight comes back, you find yourself, having gained most or all of it back, maybe even some more, and then think like, well, it worked before, so I just got to get back to it. I just got to start counting points again and I need to lose it again. If you regained the weight that you lost on a diet, it did not work for you. You did not develop the skills that you needed to maintain long-term, and long-term maintenance is the ultimate goal. Losing the weight is not the goal. You need to lose the weight to get to the goal, but the ultimate goal is that you just maintain a healthy and happy weight for forever, right? Okay, so I want to go over some nutrition basics. In order to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. And I know there were several of you on my thread asking for, what your questions were. I know there were several of you who were curious about menopause. And I love, Paula, that you jumped in and said you were forced into menopause and, are proof in the pudding that you can be in menopause and still lose weight, because you absolutely can. So those of you who are perimenopause, in the throes of it, postmenopause, all of the stuff that I'm about to say still applies to you. It may feel more challenging because it feels like what you did before doesn't work anymore, but it does. I assure you of that. So just know that all of this stuff does apply to you. Yes, Tammy, thank you. Knowledge and tools are huge. Yes. Okay, so yes, you need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. And just to get this out in the open, every single diet out there creates a calorie deficit. That's why they work. So anybody who tells you, oh, I do intermittent fasting, I don't do calorie deficit, or I do keto, I don't do calorie deficit, or whatever. Those are good enough examples. You can call it a different name, but you are in a calorie deficit because that is science. You cannot lose weight without a calorie deficit. And if you are not losing weight, then you are not in a calorie deficit. Now, that does not mean that eating less is better, or that it's as simple as that. But that is a absolute truth. That the reason diets work is because they create a calorie deficit. So however you want to go about that is fine, but just know that that is the ultimate driver behind weight loss. It is more complicated than that, and if you guys are interested, I can do another training on fat loss basics. I have an article about it that I can link for you guys that walks you through it, but if you'd like a live training, I'm happy to do that. I don't want to get too far in the weeds because I could go on and on about it. But here's the thing. Just being in a calorie deficit isn't enough. Yes, it's enough to lose weight, but you could also cut off a limb. You could take your clothes off. You could take a big poop. You could throw up, and you will lose weight, right? So it's not about losing weight. It's about losing fat. And that is a good thing to keep in mind, like when people talk about how much weight they lose when they go keto for the first time, the first couple weeks, and they drop 10 pounds. They're losing water weight. What we actually care about is losing fat. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, can you guys tell that I'm like fired up about this? So I want to get into what it takes to maintain, because this is where so many of us have fallen short, is you can get the weight off, but you're not doing it in a way that it stays off, and that's what matters. So what's missing? What's missing is a lot of things, and I'm just going to kind of run through a bunch of them. One of the things that's missing is a stable foundation. And this is, if I had to pick one thing, I'm going to kind of lump a lot of stuff in here, use it as an umbrella term, but if you do not have a stable foundation, think about building your house. My dad built our house when I was little, so I have I have very good understanding of like how a house is built, which a lot of you may not, I guess, have seen one go from the ground up. But you start with the foundation. Now, I'm not trying to talk down to you. I know that you start at the bottom, but you start with the foundation, right? And you need a level, sturdy, well-built foundation, because that's what everything else in your house is built on. So nobody wants to be on the third floor of a house with a shaky, unstable foundation, right? You want the foundation, everything else is built on that. That needs to be really, really well done. And that is one of the most important things for long-term weight maintenance, is a stable foundation. What are the basics of nutrition? How does fat loss even work? What is the science behind it? What are calories? What are macros? What foods fall into each of those categories? What is metabolism? What factors contribute to my metabolism? There's a lot of these kind of key words and terms that we hear and we kind of throw around like we know what they mean, but we don't exactly. So, somebody will be struggling with losing weight and say like, oh, I have a slow metabolism, and like not really understand what that means. They just kind of assume like, I feel like I should be in a calorie deficit because I'm trying really hard and I'm not losing weight, so it must be my metabolism. And like, you don't really know like what you're saying, right? So having a stable foundation and knowledge of nutrition basics and how fat loss works and how fat maintenance or body weight maintenance works is absolutely crucial. You also need, this kind of ties into it as well, a thorough knowledge base of, like I said, which foods fall into which macronutrient categories. Why are those macronutrients important? How much of them do I need? What foods have them? And in what quantities do I need to be eating these various foods? Like, there's so many, picture that like that meme where there's like just question marks like all around the girl's head and like you're just like super confused. I know that's a lot of women regarding weight loss, is like there's just a lot of confusion, like what should I be doing and how do I know it's going to work? How does exercise play into it? The absolute number one thing you need to do is build that foundation. Have a good understanding of all of that stuff so that then you can build upon it. In addition to that, if you want to maintain a healthy weight and not rely on elimination, restriction, deprivation, counting points, tracking through an app, etc., then you need to learn how to listen to your body. A lot of us have spent a long time overriding our hunger and fullness cues. You override your fullness cues when you eat that last pizza just because it's there and like you don't want to put it in a Tupperware, or when you are out to eat with your family and you split dessert, but then nobody else really wants it, so you finish it up. We override our fullness cues all the time. And similarly, we also override our hunger cues all the time. That's like if you wake up and your breakfast is a hard-boiled egg, and then that's at 7 a.m., and then at noon you have a salad with a little grilled chicken on it, and then at dinner you have 300 calories of whatever. you are overriding your hunger signals. If you are eating that little and not hungry, it's because you have blunted those signals in your body and are no longer aware of how your body is feeling and what it needs. So in order to be successful long term without relying on, like I said, restriction, deprivation, an app, counting points, whatever, you need to be able to listen to your body. When are you hungry? What are the signs of hunger? What are the signs of fullness? How do you know that you're starting to get full? How do you know when you have eaten to satisfaction but you're not stuffed? How do you know when you are experiencing stress or when your period is about to come? You need to be in tune with your body so that you can kind of turn inward rather than turning outward for your cues. You also need to have deeply rooted habits. So you need to become the person that you want to be. Not, if it's at some point, once I reach my goal weight, then I'm going to be somebody who like magically exercises and like wants to eat well. You need to start acting like that person right now. You need to think, what does that healthy, happy version, highest version of myself, what does she do? How does she act? What things does she eat? What does she do for downtime? What does she do for stress management? What does she do for activity? And you need to get in the habit of doing those things right now. So habits get grooved in your brain the more you do them, right? The pathways the grooves in your brain are deeper for the more well-established habits. So like brushing your teeth, for example, is a great example of this because from a very young age, my 1-year-old brushes his teeth. So from a very young age, we are conditioned to brush our teeth. So now you do it, it's automatic. You do not even think about it. You just wake up and brush your teeth. Every time you practice a new behavior, the behavior that you want to do, you are starting to groove that habit. And part of what's so frustrating about the weight loss process in general is that the habits that you're trying to replace are probably pretty deeply rooted. Think about how long you have been eating poorly, overeating, eating fast food, not exercising, being pretty sedentary. Think about how long you've been doing those things, how long your lifestyle has been pretty much the way it is, or you've been struggling with your weight. So then you get, 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks into your lifestyle change, and you're wondering like, why isn't this easy yet? Like, why is it still so hard? Why do I still want to just sit on the couch? Why would I still rather have French fries? Because you have had months, years, decades of the other stuff, and then you have weeks, days of the new stuff. So if you put a check in a column for every time you did a certain behavior, your old habits have a lot of checks, and your new habits, not so many checks. So part of what you're doing in the beginning is just getting more checks in that column, just showing up for yourself in the way that you want to show up for yourself long term, and proving to yourself that you can be this person. Additionally, you need to be exercising consistently, and specifically strength training. Dare I say, I don't even care if you don't like it. Do at least the bare minimum, because it is so, so good for you. And again, that is going to be a topic for another day. I've got an article on that too, but just know it is crucial, especially those of you who are perimenopausal, postmenopausal. Strength training is even more important. You naturally, as we age, we lose muscle mass, we lose bone density, and strength training, weight-bearing exercise will help combat those things. A lot of the weight gain that comes during that phase of our lives is due to the totally normal loss of muscle and the slowing of our metabolisms. One of the main ways that you can increase your metabolism and also stop the slowing of muscle loss or even gain muscle is to strength train. So that is absolutely important. Got a couple more things here. You need to overcome the all or nothing mentality. You need to get out of this switch. I'm either on or I'm off. And you need to start thinking about your efforts on a dial. And this is something I preach to my Gone for Good clients all the time, is that you need to think about a radio dial. There are going to be times that you need to turn your dials down because you are lost and you're trying to find your way, and for some reason it's just like background noise. There are going to be times when you have a lot of stuff going on in your life that you need to I'll get to your question in a second, Michelle. There are going to be times that you need to turn your dials down because you do not have the bandwidth to prioritize everything at once. But you never turn your dial all the way off. So you scale back to whatever you can manage for that time of your life, and you keep going. The only thing you can ever do, the best you can ever ask of yourself, is that you do the best you can given your circumstances that given day. And then When life is not throwing a bunch of shit at you, then you turn your dials back up and you dial your exercise back in and you ramp up your exercise a little bit more. But you are always adjusting that dial. You are never just flipping it on or off. Before I get to the last thing, Michelle, I'm going to address your question. I think this was, I said the bare minimum, I think for strength training. And the question was, what is the bare minimum though? So I would say 2 times a week, total body strength training, focusing on heavy weight training. And that's heavy for you. So that's going to be, what's that word? Subjective. But as a good guideline, you want to be doing about 2 to 4 sets of each exercise, about 8 to 12 reps of each exercise. And you want the weight you're using to be very difficult for those last couple reps. You want to need the rest in between. If you're using 2, 3, 5 pound weights and you feel like you could just do it all day, you could do 20, 30, 40 reps and you're basically just stopping because you're bored, you need to get heavier weights. That's, I see that a lot too, is underestimating yourself and just kind of going through the motions and being like, yeah, I feel it. You will feel it way before you are actually at your potential. My husband talks about that all the time, that he's very fit and very strong and active, but that, with regards to squatting specifically, is when it's come up, is that 100 pounds before he gets to his max, it feels hard. It's just that he has way more in the tank, and he has that mental fortitude to know he can keep going. So that's an important thing to develop, is knowing that you can push yourself a lot harder than you have been. So Michelle, hopefully that answers your question. Bare minimum, I'd say 2 total body strength training workouts a week would cover your bases. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about with regards to what you need to maintain a healthy, happy weight, and this might be a little bit of woo-woo for some of you, but it's actually really important, is the belief that you are that person. If you, and Shirley, I'm going to mention your comment because I think a lot of people can relate to this. So Shirley was asking, how do you be consistent? And then you get lazy. You feel like you have the tools, but you're just too lazy. So this is a great example of your mindset standing in your way. So think about the way you treat if you have daughters, that's a really good example. Treat your daughters, treat your sons, treat your friends. Think about the way you treat the people that you love in your life and how you talk to them. You probably, and I guess it depends on your relationship, but you probably don't go around calling your friends and your family lazy and, negative things, and at least not in like a serious way. But yet we talk so negatively to ourselves. I'm lazy, I'm fat, I'm gross, I'm always gonna look this way, all those things. We talk to ourselves so negatively, and that stuff gets ingrained, and you start to believe that. And when you believe that you are a fat, lazy person who is always gonna be this way, then you are going to take the actions that make that true. So one of the absolute most important things to maintain a healthy and happy weight, and to just stay on track long enough to lose the weight in the first place, is to believe that you are capable of being that fit and healthy person, and truly believing it with every ounce of your being. So mindset work is really important overall. You have been telling yourself these scripts over and over and over again for years. So they are deeply rooted, just like your habits, and they take time to overcome. But every time you vote for that new version of yourself, that up-level version of yourself, you are taking action and showing that you can be whoever you want to be. Your thoughts become your feelings. So, if you think I'm lazy, I'm fat, I'm doomed, you feel like crap, right? And when you feel like crap, your feelings then become your actions. And your actions, if you are feeling like crap, are to basically do nothing, to maintain the status quo. I'm a fat slob, I'm always gonna be, I feel like crap, I might as well eat my feelings. And then your actions become your results. So if you reverse engineer that, your thoughts become your feelings, become your actions, become your results. So your results, your feelings, I'm butchering this, your thoughts become your results. So you need to address your thoughts if you want to get the results that you desire. So I have thrown so much information at you guys, and I know you might be thinking like, okay, this is all great, but like how do I do it? What do I do? How do I overcome this and finally lose this weight for good and keep it off? How can I become this person? I would be thrilled to chat with you guys about whether you're a good fit for the Gone for Good program. I am taking on clients to start in November, which means that your initial commitment, 3 months, will be November, December, January, which means that not only will you navigate the holiday season, the absolute hardest part of the year to stay in sight of your goals, you will also have my full support during January when you are ready to like hit the ground running with everybody else, except that you have a 2-month head start. In Gone for Good, we are going to cover every single piece of what I just talked about. You get an individualized fat loss target to help you lose weight while also building that stable foundation that I talked about being so important, the knowledge bank of what foods contain what types of energy, how much of what foods you need to be eating in order to be successful, but also be happy while you're doing it. You will get customized exercise programs that focus primarily on strength training, but also some conditioning and cardio as well, so that you know what to do every single time that you go into the gym and exactly how to do it to actually maximize your results, to work around whatever injuries and limitations you have, however inexperienced or experienced you are, so that you know you are maximizing your gym time. Whether you're at home or in a gym, you're actually getting the benefits of your exercise. You get weekly support from me. We do a weekly check-in form and coaching calls so that every single week you know exactly what your priorities are and you know exactly how to achieve them. What are your goals and how are you going to do them? We break down what went well the previous week, what didn't go well, how we can make the next week as good as possible, what do you have that might stand in your way, how do we overcome that? Basically someone in your corner to help you dive into your life and figure out what exactly do I need to do in order to be successful. I get 6 weeks in and I always feel like I fall off. We overcome that together. In between that, you have basically around the clock access to me through your coaching portal messenger. So anything that comes up between your coaching calls, I'm just a couple clicks away to help you troubleshoot. If you're going out for dinner, we'll troubleshoot the menu together and we'll figure out what you're gonna get, how it fits into your goals, how you can indulge. You've got someone in your corner, and a lot of what it boils down to is someone who believes in you until you start to believe in yourself. I see that time and time again, is I am there telling you week after week, you can do this, you're doing a great job, highlighting your wins, forcing you to celebrate your wins instead of dwelling on your struggles, until you start to believe that you are worthy and capable of achieving whatever it is you want. And then on top of that, we also focus a ton on the educational component, because my goal truly is not to make you need me for forever. I want to work with you until you feel confident going off on your own, that you have established the habits and the lifestyle and the foundation that you need in order to be successful long term, that you know exactly what you need to do in order to either continue losing weight or keep it off for forever. So each week you get a training on a lot of the topics that I just talked about, deep diving into the science behind them, what they're all about, why they're important, and also that mindset work that I talked about being so important. So how do you overcome those negative scripts in your head? How do you get out of your own way? A lot of you have touched on feeling like you self-sabotage and like, I'm what's standing in my way, what do I do? We unpack all of that as well. We figure out why you are the way you are, and how we can upgrade you into becoming that person that you want to become. The accountability, you cannot put the accountability is just so important. Just knowing that somebody is looking out after you is huge. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm trying to read Arlene's comment. What a mindset of thinking you will release the weight instead of mindset of losing the weight. Maybe we'll look for lost weight. Yeah, I worked with some, I used to do some weight loss consulting at a local gym, and I had some ladies in there that talked about that they would release pounds. They were not losing them, because when you lose something, like you usually try to find it. Like, I lost my keys, I better find those. I lost my glasses, let me see where they are. You're not trying to lose weight. You're trying to release it into the wild, don't come back. So yeah, that's a great mindset shift. So the support and accountability is unparalleled. You are not in this alone. And like I said, the educational component, so that you are learning how to fish, that you are not feeling reliant on like, yeah, I lost a bunch of weight, but I don't know how to keep it off. Every single thing that you need, truly, every time I have a client go through this program who gives me feedback, I upgrade the program to make it the absolute best on the market. It is the most comprehensive, with a major emphasis on the maintenance aspect of it, which, like we've been talking about, is so, so important. So for those of you who are thinking like, this sounds really good, I'm not really sure though, I'm kind of on the fence, I'm not sure, I would love to chat with you. I am offering Get Unstuck calls that I just want to talk to you on the phone. I want to hear about your situations. I want to hear about your struggles, what you've been doing, what's been working, what hasn't, where you are right now, and we'll figure out why you're stuck. And my only goal for these calls is to help you figure out the best thing for you. And if that is gone for good, I would love to share more information about that with you and talk to you about what that might look like. But if it's not, I'll tell you that too. I'm not here to, hopefully you guys know me well enough to know that I'm not here to just take a bunch of people's money and, and run off into the sunset. What fuels me is seeing you guys change your lives and getting you guys results, because really my business succeeds by having success stories like you guys. And I know some of you are on the call right now who are my success stories. I want 100 more of you so that I can say, this speaks for itself. Like, if you want results like this, I've got you. So I want you to be successful as badly, if not more badly, if not worse, than you do. So like I said, I'm going to be honest with you. If my program isn't what you need, I'm going to tell you that. So there's no pressure on this call. I'm not a used car salesperson. I'm not going to, try to stiff arm you. If you don't want to work with me, that's fine. No hard feelings. You can stay in the group. No big deal. But I would love to chat with you and just see if we're a good fit, if the program works for you, if it's best for you, and what next steps would be. So like I said, November, December, January, you could go into 2020, you could finish out this decade, which is a weird thing to say. You could finish out this decade feeling awesome, rather than feeling like, well, all that stuff I just worked for 10 months, I blew in 2 months. So now I'm starting back at square one again in January. This year can be different. You can go into the holidays looking and feeling awesome, being empowered to indulge intentionally and intelligently and enjoy the holiday season without losing sight of your goals. And then you can go into January with, hitting the ground running, worlds ahead of everybody else. So I'm going to link below a link to my calendar. I opened it way up for the next week and a half-ish, so that hopefully I can accommodate as many of you as possible. So if you're curious about what it would be like to work together, what the Gone for Good program entails, if you're a good fit for it, just want to chat about what's going on with you, book a call. I want to talk to you. Like I said, no pressure. If we don't end up working together, you don't need to leave the group or anything like that. But let's do it. So I'm going to link that below. It's Calendly, calendly.com/unstuck. UNSTUCK, but I'll link it below as well, and some information about Gone for Good, just so that you have it if you are a visual learner and you're like, she said a bunch of stuff really fast and like, I don't know what all it was, and you don't want to go back. I get it. So I will link some information about that below. Thank you guys so much for attending. I know this is about the longest training we've ever done in here and the best attended. So I'm so happy about that. And thank you guys so much for showing up for me, for yourselves, and for being a part of this community. I know I said it the other day at the end of the walking challenge, but I truly do care about you guys. And I am so proud of the community that we've built. And I can't take full credit for that. You guys are what make the community so great. And your engagement, your participation, your encouragement of one another is really what makes this group amazing. So I appreciate every single one of you, whether you are a lurker or whether you are one of the big names that I'm like, where's Shirley been? I haven't heard from her in a while. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope that that you consider me a resource if you are struggling and need help with anything. Before I continue rambling, I'm going to go, and I look forward to chatting with hopefully a lot of you guys in the next couple of weeks here. Talk to you soon.